I made a promise to myself. It's currently midnight right now that I'm just going to film. It doesn't matter if it's valuable, coherent, I'm just going to film. I want to create consistency. I want to show up here every single week and I want to get good at editing. I actually wanted to use this space to create these video essays, and I wanted to talk about a lot of things: spirituality, philosophy, psychoanalysis of politics. Do a little bit of short films, but I mean, in the course of doing that, obviously I'm going to try to create engaging content, but more than anything, I just really want a space to just exist without, I don't know, I mean, everything is sort of a performance, but I want to create in real time. I just made a TikTok about sort of my initial responses to the whole Lindy West thing and the backlash against her, and how a lot of people were like, oh, she's a bad feminist and, you know, is just with this really, really nasty, manipulative man, and, you know, she's a pick-me, and, you know, she, you know, has no low self-esteem. This is a really sad way to go out, Lindy. And again, I am sort of being a bit dramatic with those responses. Obviously, some of the critiques is much more nuanced than that. But as I'm reading her book, her memoir, Adult Braces, okay, so good. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing somebody who is who in real time, I don't know when this was written, but it feels like there's an actual embodied processing of how toxic this relationship dynamics with her partner is. I'm seeing her deconstruct the internalized misogyny of, like, yes, what appears to us, the audience, as somebody who is a fan of Lindy West and Shrill, and like who, you know, I'm like, I just think she's so fabulous. And I want a career like her. I want to be her friend. Somebody who's a fan of Lindy West. I can see, like, as she's writing this text, I can see that tension that she feels, where she's sort of like, I should be better than this. I'm the feminist. I'm the feminist who has it all. I have the interesting media career. I'm a successful writer. I have the partner. You know, we're progressives, and it's possible, even if you're a fat woman. And then for her to kind of feel like she's living this life where this is what people expect of fat women. There's a part where she talks about how she was so, okay, so part of this thing is that some people are saying that, you know, he cheated on her. I don't know. I'm not getting that sense. Oh, well, I do think there's some manipulation there, and I'm super careful about trying to project my own things onto people who I don't know. But from what I can see in the text so far, I think he's problematic, and I think even Lindy would contend he's problematic. And I'm sure if he has a bit of self-awareness, I think he also would. I mean, we're all sort of problematic in our ways, but what I'm seeing is that she acknowledges that this is who this man was. And there was this part of her of like, if I do this self-sacrificing and this, service, lead with service and loyalty, that he may not want to be polyamorous. But she really, really like interrogates that. So what she talks about is like how she had this sort of visceral response to like polyamory and like alternative lifestyles, which is interesting. Like I thought that was really, really vulnerable, because here she is, like this progressive feminist, right? And you would assume that, I mean, girl, you live in Seattle, sis. Like what? Like this is. By the way, I'm a child of the Pacific Northwest. Okay, I live in Vancouver Island. Portlandia. It's the same. Okay, Dream of the '90s, same thing. But so it's not. This is the norm, right? So I think first to see her sort of pushing back on this and saying, wait a minute, is this expected of me because I'm a fat woman? Like, am I not entitled to heteronormativity, traditional relationships like my ancestors did, just husband and wife building their lives with kids or without kids? And then she also recognizes that traditional understanding of like love and community and communion and partnership is also toxic. It doesn't mean that just because somebody doesn't declare that they're polyamorous, that they're somehow being faithful. So I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. I saw real-time processing of ideas and complexities and contradictions, and I'm really feeling called to do that. I really am. I'm really feeling called to play, to experiment, to like my politics are pretty fixed. Like they're not going to change. I'm a Marxist. I'm a vegan. I believe in animal liberation. I believe in queer liberation. I want us to do whatever we can to protect Gaia, Mother Earth. I think humanity has a really like I'm actually really optimistic about the future of humanity. I think we have a really really great time, especially in the age of Aquarius, to really get it right. I think it's also very scary times. Anybody familiar with the work of Antonio Gramsci? He calls this, the period. This is called the interregnum. He talks about, and I'm paraphrasing here, about we're living in the time of monsters, but he encourages sort of this idea of having this pessimism, of the intellect, and really, really being uncompromising and very clear and very direct with our politics in the world we want to see, but also exercising optimism of the will, and living these sort of playful and optimistic lives. And I think in order to do that, especially in this time, I think it's okay for us to be very, very clear about our politics. I think it's okay for Lindy West to identify as a feminist while also talking about how the embodied Lindy West, who has to navigate the same capitalist world in a different body, right, as a fat white woman who's privileged and creative, and I wouldn't consider her rich, but very successful, living in the Pacific Northwest. She has a specific POV into the human condition as an American. And I think and I don't think her politics are diminished because she is a human being, right? Not everybody may agree with that, but I think it's okay to play and to exist in real time while holding on to ideas that are sacred to us, because I think that's how we refine the ideas. I think that's how we become better people. I think that's how we lovingly call each other out. I think that's how we, especially as women, right? Like I feel like we survive through our stories, and there's this really, I don't know, maybe it's just the spaces I occupy, but there's this sort of really misogynistic, and I'm seeing a lot of women exhibit this of like, everything you do is your own fault and you're dumb, and how dare you let men do this to you, and how dare you be broke, and how dare you give men money, and why did you have this children, and like, you're the reason why your husband is secretly gay. I'm critiquing, women with internalized misogyny. I'm critiquing reactionary and proto-fascist politics that emerge in the time of monsters. And I think the way to push back is for us to say, hey, my politics are uncompromising. This is the world that I think is possible. But here I am existing, and I'm going to make mistakes. And just because I make mistakes doesn't mean that you get to come and lash out at me and, humiliate me and dogpile me. And then I'm just going to go crawl into a hole and then my politics go away. No, I think this is time to say, you know what, I just fell down and I'm going to get back up again. Or I did a thing that we all do when the camera's off and no one's watching, which is living lives of contradictions, right? So this is what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to share something vulnerable today. It is currently, I think it's Sunday now, but it's like 12:30 midnight, and I've spent the entire day stewed in shame because I had this plan of making this really beautiful long video essay on women with internalized misogyny, and I was going to call it Bargaining with Patriarchy. I didn't do that. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, and I didn't do that. So just swimming in this sort of shame over my ADHD, and I'm not crying, I was just about to burp, but and my feet hurt. I've been standing up all day, but I had a beautiful day. I played with my beautiful cat children, and I wanted to go for a walk, but I didn't. And I have my period, and I'm not feeling very well. And instead of resting and allowing myself to enjoy this time with my beautiful family, and I had a beautiful conversation with one of my siblings, and we were all trying to learn this like TikTok dance together while we were on FaceTime, and like all of that didn't matter because I spent the entire day hating myself for like not getting done what I wanted to do. I wanted to get a certain amount of writing done. I wanted to create this video. I have all these ambitions. I have all these projects I need to do, but like they're not fun anymore because like I'm so caught up in like how perfect they have to be in my head that I'm not creating. So I'm just gonna turn on the camera. And after this, I'm going to wash my face and I'm going to put on my pajamas and I'm going to take my little journal and I'm going to journal and I'm going to get the best night's sleep. And I'm not going to do anything tomorrow. I'm not going to do anything on Monday. I'm going to rest. I'm going to let my body rest because rest is creation. And I've talked about so many things, but I'll bring it back home. And the point is, I think really interesting art, especially for writing. Like if you're a writer, filmmaker, this is the kind of things that I'm interested in. Is I want to see messy characters. I want to see coming of age stories of like women over 40. I want to see messy feminists that are not arrogant, right? Like there's a way of saying, this is who I am. I'm making mistakes. I have these politics, but I still have to live in the world. And sometimes I'm tender. Sometimes I'm going to be with people who kind of suck. And I'm going to be called back by my sisters, by my kin, by my supporters, by my allies, by my comrades. And so this is what I think when we're able to be honest, I think we're able to show each other our shadows and the parts of us that, need to be held up and uplifted. But I think when we're all concealing ourselves behind politics that we may not be consistent with and hold in our hearts, I think there's a lot of dishonesty, and I think this is how we get fascism. I said a lot of whole things, but I'm going to bed. Thank you for watching. Bye.